Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm with Rob at Mantic Games and we're talking Terrain Crate.
Yeah, very exciting. So we've got a couple of things to talk about. We're going
Yep.
to talk about Terrain Crate 1 and then the all new, super exciting, top secret almost, Terrain Crate 2, which will be coming to Kickstarter soon. So
Fantastic.
I thought it might be useful in case your kind of viewers haven't heard of Terrain Crate before,
Perfect.
kind of talk a little bit about the history, about how we came up with it,
Yeah.
and then we can lead into what's going on in the future.
Perfect.
So just cast your mind back to the distant past of 2015, I think, when we had Dungeon Saga.
Yeah, it's quite heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, so Dungeon Saga was hark back to kind of adventurous, old kind of board games, adventure board games of the past, undead, you kind of typical heroes, going through a dungeon like a typical dungeon crawler. But the thing that was really exciting about this, and thing actually that caught us slightly by surprise, was that it came with a load of furniture. But we can't see here, but just imagine.
We'll put a clip in.
Wow, the magic of video.
The magic of...
But it came with a load of furniture. So you had like bookcases in there, wells, doors as well.
Yeah.
And that was super popular, actually. I mean, the game was popular itself. I mean, I think it's actually on, I don't know what print run we're on now, but we've done loads and loads of different print runs of it. But the doors and the furniture kept selling out. So that kind of sparked a light bulb in Ronnie's head, which is always dangerous. So if you ever see that happening, be careful.
Stand well back.
Yeah. But he absolutely loves terrain anyway. He's mad on terrain. He actually spends more time making terrain than he does building models, I think, to be honest with you. He'll always pop in with a new objective he's made, doesn't he? He'll be like, okay, well, how's your Vanguard warband doing? Oh, I haven't done that, but I have done this new objective. And you're like, okay, that's nice. So he got thinking that actually there was clearly an appetite out there for all this terrain. Although there are a lot of kind of people who make resin terrain, sometimes that can be quite expensive and it also can be quite easily damaged, potentially. Particularly when you're kind of slamming things down and putting them down and knocking stuff over. So we thought, actually, there's clearly something there for like hard-wearing, plastic kind of terrain. So that came up with Terrain Crate 1. And with Terrain Crate 1, we kind of had a very specific vision of, okay, we've done a lot of the dungeon stuff. Let's now expand the range into everything you would need to kit out kind of your dungeon of dreams. So of course you need a torture chamber.
Of course.
Who doesn't? Of course you need a wizard study with a nice little comfy chair there and an owl on a perch and those kind of things. You need bookcases full of all stuff. You need a treasury, for your dragon to kind of hide, all the treasure. You need a temple where you can go and hopefully heal yourself when you've been attacked by that dragon. And you need a minecart to kind of shoot through the dungeon as well. So we kind of did the dungeon stuff and we also did some battlefield scenery as well. Obviously we've got Kings of War, which is hugely popular.
The battlefield stuff's fantastic. I bought a box of the battlefield stuff and I've been using it in my Vanguard videos. And it's brilliant because it's this plastic. You don't feel the need to kind of very carefully place it away. You can put it back in the box. It goes on the shelf and it all gets pulled out again for the next game. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's kind of we did these big crates like this. So this was like the dungeon crate. We had the dungeon crate, the town crate, the battlefield crate, and then we do separate sets at retail. And the idea for that was you could kind of grab that, take that for your D&D session or your kind of war game session, get it out of the box and shove it on the table. You don't necessarily even have to paint it. That's why we kind of got it coloured because not everyone enjoys painting. And the idea was just to bring these kind of games to life.
Just give them a real kind of a real world setting.
Because a lot of people spend loads and loads of times getting their miniatures ready, and then they'll have some bits of trees that they've cobbled together out of loo roll and things like that. So this was the idea. We wanted to make some really nice scenery. And that's been hugely popular. I mean, the Kickstarter did really well, but actually since then, at Trade, it's done fantastic as well. And we're just about to launch Wave 3 of Terrain Crate.
Brilliant.
And that'll be the mine, the temple, and there'll be like an adventurous set kind of... we've already done the dungeon and the battlefield stuff, which came out just at the same time as Vanguard. Like you were saying, it's quite handy for that. And then, we're kind of doing this now. We did Market last year as well. But we've had a huge success with that. So obviously,
why not follow it up?
We wanted to kind of follow it up with Terrain Crate 2. So these are kind of obviously not the final colours. We will be doing it coloured again like this. So brown, gold, white, depending on what it said it is. But for this one, we've kind of changed tack slightly. Whereas the first one, like I said, was dungeons and kind of battlefield.
Very much more kind of fantasy or kind of gothic type.
D&D stuff, that kind of... So for this one, we kind of thought, okay, well, we've kind of really done the dungeon, although there are a few things we think we could do as well. I mean, what was interesting was is that stuff that was really popular were the little bits that we didn't think, like skulls and rats and things like that. So there's some stuff we'd like to kind of go back to and look for the dungeon. But then there are all these different genres that need this kind of nice terrain as well. So actually for Terrain Crate 2, we will be doing some gothic kind of D&D stuff, but then we'll be moving into more modern kind of apocalyptic kind of post-apocalyptic kind of scenery, to World War II things, to kind of gothic, almost Cthulhu-esque horror, that sort of stuff. So it kind of really mix. And the idea is actually when you've got something like, you can see here, you've got like an old kind of classic vintage shop. Actually, although it's kind of modelled on 1940s shop, that wouldn't look out of place in the store today, really, or like a village store. So you could be using that. Walls like this, like ruined walls, that could actually be used in any number of games.
Yeah, that's it.
So although we will be theming them in the crates like this one, so there'll be like a modern crate, kind of gothic horror crate. Trying to think of the other ones now. Gothic horror, modern, kind of World War II-esque, and then kind of ruined scene, like a ruined village. Actually, you can kind of mix and match them as much as you want. So I'll run through a few of the pieces here so you can have a look. So we'll start over this end. So this is more of the modern kind of factory items. So like a warehouse, and they've got a forklift truck. So all this kind of stuff would come in handy, particularly for, like, here's Negan as well. You've got like a boiler there as well.
It's funny because this kind of stuff is, I mean, I play quite a bit of Walking Dead, and you find, especially on forums, everyone's looking in toy shops to try and pick up little bits of things like trucks and stuff, because there just isn't that kind of stuff available. So it's really good to kind of see that scatter terrain for those kind of games.
Yeah, and it's all obviously built to the same scale as the Walking Dead, so it'll all fit perfectly. And with the Walking Dead kind of larger games, the battle games coming out later this year, then actually this kind of stuff is going to come in really handy to kind of make your battlefield kind of come alive.
Just feel real,
Yeah, so that's kind of more of the modern things. But these barrels are going to fit quite nicely in World War II. Really, that wouldn't look too out of place in kind of more historical games. Then you've got more of the kind of gothic things. So you've got like a gothic bed here. And that actually looks quite comfy. I wouldn't mind probably lying in that one. But yeah, again, the gothic kind of, these kind of ones are actually look nice for D&D games. That wouldn't look out of place in it might look out of place in a dungeon, but it wouldn't necessarily.
It depends what kind of dungeon you've got.
In a castle, that would look fine, and you'd be able to use that. And actually, you scale up to modern times, and
it still fits, doesn't it?
Yeah. You've got like some pots here as well. This actually looks a lot neater than my shelves at home. I'm a bit jealous, actually. But yeah, you could paint all these and do all those. A little random duck here. We will be doing some more outside things as well. That's very small. You probably won't. It's tiny. You won't even be able to, because there's a little tiny squirrel here as well. So there we go. I mean, that is dinky. Because you need it. If you're having a park, you need a squirrel and a duck in a park.
Some wildlife, haven't you?
Yeah, who's going to follow? He's a little bit drunk, that squirrel. But one thing we did kind of find, like I was saying about those small items, is people really like to, if there was a table with food on, they wanted to. So, say if you're playing an RPG game, you come into a room, you say, it's a bit like that old Nightmare series. You walk into a room. Take 3 spaces left. There's a table with some bread on. So it'd be an idea that actually they like to create the kind of themes around those. So with this, we've done a similar thing with, if you've got the market stall here, you've got all the apples and stuff that all come off. You've got the oranges there. So you can put all these on. So if you want a really kind of full market, you can put everything on there.
I think that's great. I mean, I took some photographs earlier on and I moved it round to get a shot and they all fell off, and I assumed they were molded on, but no, it's great to see you kind of lift them on and off.
Yeah, because obviously then if you've got these bits, they can, if you want to put them all, they've all fell off, and now it's like actually a bit more scatter, so you can use that to spread around, or you can then actually put them on here and have a full bustling market. So again, it's kind of just thinking, how are people going to use it? And originally we were worried actually those small bits would be too small and they'd be too fiddly, and people would be like, oh, I don't want these. But actually, particularly for the RPG players, they're great because it all feeds into the story that they want to tell.
And if you just want to use them for kind of a war game and terrain, you can just glue them down. So it's kind of it's open to use how you want to open them, how you want to use them, rather.
Yeah, and exactly like I was saying about Ronnie coming in and doing his objectives, he would probably come in one day and go, oh, I just put all these on this thing, and look, now there's an objective there with some fruit and veg on, and you're like, okay, that's good. And so that's how he's using them as well. And then obviously you can combine them with that you've got the kind of more classic shop shelves here. So you can put them on there as well, and they all fit nicely, and then you can take them off. So it's a bit like dungeons and dolls houses. I think really you've kind of got to imagine, you've got to think, okay, well I need a bedroom, I need a kitchen. So, for example, in the Gothic one, the Gothic Manor, we're moving through the whole house.
Yeah.
So you'll have the bedroom, the living room, a nice piano if you want to tinkle the ivories a little bit. It doesn't play, I hasten to add. That would be amazing.
Wave 4, is it?
Yeah. When we actually get, so yeah, the forklift truck will be remote controlled and things like that. But yeah, we kind of want to move through the whole house for that one, so you can kit out that. When it comes to the kind of modern apocalypse stuff, you've got your kind of typical kind of tropes of a warehouse to go through, an office, a hospital, even a shopping mall as well, because you've got to have a shopping mall to kind of go through and steal all the things of that one. So again, a bit like the same approach we did with Train Crate 1, where we went through a dungeon and thought, okay, well, what do you need? Let's say you need the torture chamber, the wizard study, the library, the temple, the kind of treasury. We've gone through this one and said, okay, well, for this one you need your warehouse, you need your kind of equipment for there.
Yeah.
And then finally we've kind of got things like the ruined scenery as well. So what you'll actually get, for example, this one here is a ruined statue. There's a built version as well of that statue as well. So you can either choose, maybe if you're playing a game and that's been destroyed, you can put that down and now that becomes... Brilliant, so you could have a scenario. What's been great is people creating their own scenarios for these things. So you could have a thing, well, if that's destroyed, then it becomes scatter. Same as these doors, and then you've got sandbags there. So yeah, it's kind of hopefully covering a wide range to appeal to a load of different gamers, really.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, it's one of those things where the more you see them and the more you think about it, the more you can use them. So obviously Hellboy's coming a little bit later this year.
Yeah.
Perfect for putting into games of Hellboy. Walking Dead you mentioned before as well, they'll come in. But there's so much, and what I've noticed, especially from using them in Vanguard, is that it just brings the battlefield to life. Instead of it looking like you're playing on a freshly mown field, all of a sudden there's some life. There's a horse with a cart kind of dashing about, and you've got the boxes of kind of fruit and veg and bits and pieces. Even the little the objective markers as well that you're using for the different scenarios. It just brings it to life. It's not just like a kind of a 50mm token stuck in the middle of the board.
Yeah, totally. And I think actually it's interesting with the Vanguard stuff. You often end up spending as much time almost setting up the board and go, okay, well, so they'd have a campsite here, and then obviously they would have put the kind of the stakes outside of the campsite. Yeah. So you actually spend a lot of time doing that, and that's obviously why with Vanguard we did the battlefield objectives as well. And it's all about if there's a scenario which is about capturing the power stones or capturing the objectives or a portal. I mean, there's a portal in the kind of terrain crate range as well. Then actually it's so nice to have those on the table and to see them. And
it's like when you mentioned about that statue one, I was thinking about the one from Vanguard, which is where you're lighting the fire,
lighting the beacon,
light the beacon, and the flame comes off. So once you've lit it, you can put that on, and it's something similar. I can imagine a kind of scenario where you've got to, there's something hidden inside the statue, you have to destroy it, and then once you've done that, you can replace it. And often do something else. It just kind of instantly looking at them creates lots of different options and stories.
Exactly, and it's like things like this kind of the dresser here. There's a ruined version of this dresser, so you could almost do. If you were to do a scenario where it's before and after, like an apocalypse, you could have like the room set up and you go. Maybe the first one is you're kind of trying to. It's now this is a really weird reference, but it reminds me of Richard Madeley's Millennium Cupboard, which supposedly when Richard Madeley was convinced there was going to be the Millennium Bug, he advised everyone at home to have their own cupboard where they stored everything. So maybe you could have Richard Madeley's Millennium Cupboard before the apocalypse, and then Richard Madeley's Millennium Cupboard after. So that's something that's stuck with me. Richard Madeley's Millennium Cupboard.
Is that going to be the new name for the expansion of Walking Dead?
That is
Richard Madeley's.
That could be one of the crates actually. Richard Madeley's Millennium Crate. So but you could definitely do those kind of scenarios as well, and it's just I think what's been really nice to see, and like you were saying, is these pieces have enabled people to tell different stories and do different things with them. So we're really excited about this one, and hopefully it's going to be do very well and do just as well as that range.
Fantastic. So timing wise, coming to Kickstarter
end of Feb. So
not too long at all.
No, not too long. So we announced kind of we did a big 12 days of Christmas thing where we kind of run through last year it would have been last year. So last year our final big announcement was Hellboy, obviously, and then this year our big announcement was Train Crate 2's coming as well.
Brilliant.
So keep an eye on kind of Mantic Games Facebook page. We'll be starting to tease them out with some awful puns. That all came from we had the hype terrain for Terrain Crate and called everyone terrain spotters. So the kind of the puns have stuck. Sadly for some people, I hope that doesn't put everyone off. That is my passion. So yeah, there will be some terrible puns on Facebook. So keep an eye on those.
Look forward to them.
Well, look forward to them. Yeah, don't lie. You need to work on your poker face.
He says with a big smile.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So look out for this in February. Look out for anything more that's been teased up until then as well.
Yeah.
And no doubt we'll come back and we'll do some more as things progress and we see a bit more about what's going to be on the Kickstarter.
Yeah, cool.
So thanks for watching. See you in the next video.